Hey gamers, and welcome back to another episode of the EXL Podcast. With me, I have my co-host, WRRYWART.
Hello.
And today we're going to be covering, is Microsoft adequately marketing the advantages of the new ecosystem in Crossplay, Gears of War Ultimate Edition, The Witcher 3 marketing on the Xbox One, and 60 FPS introduced to the Xbox One DVR. So to start with, I think that a lot of people are complaining about the introduction of crossplay. They believe that this is going to be affecting the way that they actually game, and they're not understanding the benefits that it's going to bring to them and the fact that it's actually going to open up their options exponentially. So for somebody who hasn't looked a great deal into it, what is your understanding at the moment of the new ecosystem and how crossplay works?
I think the big issue is that it's really two markets that traditionally haven't gotten along together. The PC market and the console market, the gamers, not the actual market. So I think on the console side, I think maybe people are looking at it as though there's going to be this unfair advantage if you're playing with somebody and they're on the PC, and the PC guys, I guess, are looking at it like, we don't really want to intermingle with the console. So that's an issue I think Microsoft has to tackle. In terms of marketing it, it's a tricky slope to navigate. But I think in the long run, anything that opens up a platform to more users, eventually will give users on both sides more things to do, more apps, more games, and hopefully games from the PC side will be able to cross over to the console side and vice versa. Right now, they're just talking about streaming your Xbox games to a PC. I'm not sure, under what circumstance do you think that would be something you would do, personally?
I think it would depend. Like, say, for example, if I had friends that were gaming on the PC that didn't maybe have an Xbox One that I wanted to game with on the PC with, then that's something that would be beneficial. Yeah, I think there are a lot of different advantages that we don't even know about yet that they're working on that are going to be advantageous to us as gamers, because it's going to open up our options.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. We don't, like you said, we don't know about them. They really have to start marketing it better. And I think, everybody's waiting for E3, and I think even Microsoft's sort of waiting for E3. I used the analogy a little while ago, and I like it, so I'm going to stick with it. Driving a car from point A to point B, you have to be behind the wheel the whole way. You can't just wait until the last couple miles and hop behind that wheel and, everything's going to be great. And that's what I think they're doing. They're waiting for E3 to announce all this stuff. Now, I hope that they do it in a way that's straightforward, that people can get behind, that people can understand, and it's not the, 2013 announcement all over again where we didn't know what was happening. I think that, again, it's the markets, the console side is, you have a really vocal minority of people that have to defend the honor of console gaming, and we can't have PC, and Microsoft shouldn't be a PC company, but they have a big stake in PC. I know people like to say that Microsoft isn't the PC, but it's like saying, the guy who puts the tires on the car really doesn't have a stake in the car, and he does. And Microsoft has a stake in PC, and it's a big stake, and they have to be there. And they also carve this little niche out in the console, and they have to be there too. So it's a slippery slope in how to make everyone happy. And I think they're finding their way, stumbling a bit, trying to make everyone happy. But I think eventually, if you're a fan of the ecosystem, if you're a fan of the Xbox One, it's going to be something that you'll enjoy.
Yeah, I agree. And I believe that a big part of this issue with people understanding exactly what this means is that people who don't necessarily have a great understanding of how these systems work are listening to things like the presentation at GDC earlier this year. Now, for people who don't really have an understanding of the inner workings of all this kind of stuff, that can understand the terminology that is used in these kind of presentations, listening to something like that and walking away from it, from what I've seen and from the complaints that a lot of people had after it, they had this expectation that they were now going to be forced into multiplayer games with people on PC. So they were going to have an automatic disadvantage because they were playing against people with a keyboard and mouse when they're going to be playing with an Xbox controller. And then you have those who, maybe are looking at more user-friendly mediums like Facebook, where people are sort of, explaining things how they interpreted it, but they're giving misinformations as well. So, everybody's just like up in arms about this whole concept. And I really think that it would have been very beneficial if we had a much simplified version of how this is going to work, put across to begin with, as opposed to it coming out as this I mean, not for myself because I follow these kind of things, but for just people who just are everyday casual gamers, what would seem to be a really complex program or system that they're putting in place. And the big thing that people need to take away from this is that crossplay and the way that the new ecosystem is headed is not going to change the way that you play on your Xbox at the moment. If all you want to do is log on to your Xbox and play with just your friends on your Xbox the way that you've always done, then you can continue to do that. If, however, you want to be able to play with some of your friends on PC, you now also have that option. If perhaps you want the option of being able to be on a bus because you travel a lot every day, play a game by logging in through your profile from what would normally be on your Xbox and pick up a game that is where you last saved it on your Xbox and play it on your tablet while you're traveling every day, you're now also going to have that option. All it's doing is giving us more options, more way to play, more way to integrate ourselves into a larger community. I think it's a brilliant concept.
Yeah, I mean, a couple things on what you said. The instantly jumping to the worst case scenario, I think everybody does that when they say, well, I don't want to play, I don't want to have an unfair disadvantage if I'm playing multiplayer. Again, everybody's, assuming that it's going to be, multiplayer, everyone's playing multiplayer, that's going to be the issue. But I'm sure that if there's a cross game and it allows for Xbox One console owners to play with other Xbox One console owners or people that have the game on the PC, you'll know that. You'll know that you're going into this scenario with PC gamers, Xbox gamers. And if you don't want to do that, then I assume that you would have the option not to do that. You can just play with people on a console with a controller. Now, as far as like hopping on a bus and stuff like that, I don't know how they're going to work out the controls. I mean, a traditional console game on a tablet never really feels well to me. So I don't know how the controls are going to work out if you're on your bus playing Gears. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's necessarily going to be games like that. I think it's going to be more like side scrollers and stuff like that will be the more widely used. But I mean, you do need to keep in mind, I mean, you can get these controllers these days that do sync with your tablets and stuff.
Yeah.
So
I think, anything, and again, if you're not somebody who's interested in the Xbox or Microsoft's ecosystem, then none of this stuff should really be an issue. But if you are, then there's nothing bad about opening up an ecosystem and allowing more applications in, allowing more people in, allowing more content creators in. There's nothing bad about that at all. Now, whether or not Windows 10 is widely adopted as a gaming platform on the PC side, that's something entirely different.
Yeah, absolutely. And we live in such an evolving digital landscape at the moment that to not be looking into the future, to not be looking at how more things can be integrated, to how the community can be expanded, to how these new technologies that are continuously evolving can be harnessed and brought into this system would be silly. So people don't panic. You're not going to wake up tomorrow and find that you're in a lobby with 15 other people on the PC. You're not going to find that in 6 months. Like, it's not going to happen. You are going to be able to play your games on your Xbox the way that you always have. So just calm down. It's not that big a deal.
Yeah, I mean, the same people that are upset about this are the people that don't count a game because it's on the PC. You know what I mean? Like I can play this game on my PlayStation. Like Street Fighter V is coming out. It's coming out on the PlayStation and the PC. Now, if I'm a PlayStation owner, to me, that would be a PlayStation exclusive. But there's this whole contingent of people that think it doesn't count because it's on the PC, which is strange to me because I'm in that market that's the console market. And, Microsoft has two markets now that they're worried about, PC and console. And I think that's where the clash of ideas come in. And that's when both sides don't even want to hear anything, even if it's positive or accept anything. And hopefully over time, that'll dwindle away and people can just get excited about, information that's good.
Absolute example of that is last month's update. So we had stuff for Smart Glass, we had stuff for Xbox One, and we had stuff for Windows 10 PC. And people were whinging and complaining that it wasn't good enough because the entire update wasn't just dedicated to the Xbox One. It's now starting to cater for all the different things that it needs to cater for. And I was just appalled at how upset people were that there was an update for the PC in this update that rolled out that month. Like, just because there's other stuff in there doesn't mean that you're having something taken away from you. It's just additional stuff for something else that we need to start realizing that this is now a part of our Xbox community, regardless of whether you want to see it as that or not. Xbox and PC, as far as Windows 10 go, are now going to be walking along hand in hand. You don't have to cross over to their side of the street if you don't want to, but that option will now be there for you.
Sometimes it's not about what you do, but how you do it. And, in the past, Microsoft's really been bullish about, this is the way it's going to be, and this is what we want for the future. I think back to the original Xbox, when they announced that it was going to be, the hard drive in the box, when it was going to be broadband only internet for the OG Xbox. It was, why are they doing this? This is the bad thing. I can't believe it. And they were really bullish on that idea.
Yeah.
I think now with their products and their one strategy, they're being really bullish. This is it. This is it. This is it. And there's a whole contingent of people that are, I just want to be a gamer. I just want to be a console gamer. But slowly over time, if you introduce these things in a slightly different way, people come along. It's just the way that they're doing it. I think people are butting heads with this whole, I don't like that. I don't want that. But eventually they do. You see that with the adoption rate for things like movies and TVs and applications on other platforms. It's just the way that these companies market these ideas and roll them out slowly. The 360 did that really well. It started off as this game machine, and then over time it evolved, but it was never in your face instantly the way that the Xbox One is. And I think that's because we're in this digital age now, and everything is just digital, and everyone wants everything instantly. And I think they saw that, recognized maybe like a little niche for themselves, and went for it.
Yeah, indeed. Well, hopefully people have now had a bit of a listen to that, and they realize it's not that dramatic change to their gaming
it's
life.
It's the end of the world.
I know, right?
Apps and movies. We don't want apps and movies.
Yeah, who uses their Xbox for anything other than gaming? How dare they?
I mean, I think last gen, the PlayStation 3 was the #1 box for Netflix. It's not necessarily what you do, but how you do it. People want to be brought along slowly. It's all about games, and then a couple months or years in, it becomes about movies and apps, but you still have the games, and people come along eventually.
Yeah, so to wrap that up, the way I see it is that for me, for somebody who is into the technical side of things, so for me, walking away from watching the presentation at GDC earlier this year, I felt like I walked away with a very good understanding of exactly what we can expect and what's going to be implemented in the future. Then over the following weeks, I watched the fallout on social medias, and I think it just came down to the way it was marketed, the way that it was put out to the community wasn't in a way that the majority of casual gamers were able to understand it, and that caused a lot of fallout.
You know what it is? It really is. It's simple and it's not simple. It really is about the audience that you're speaking to. Microsoft, again, they have this huge footprint in PC, and they want to pay attention to it, but they also have these console side people that want to be talked to in a certain way. You understand what I mean? They want to be talked to like console gamers and not these PC guys, which, everybody's playing games. Everybody's consuming media. It's all the same. It's just the different audience, and you have to know how to talk to them. And Microsoft's talking to everyone the same way, and that's where there's this confusion and this conflict and this division. But, hopefully, after E3 and a couple years from now, when people are more accepting of digital platforms and being able to do everything on a device and not just have to do one thing, then there'll be success all around, not just Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo. Everybody will have something.
Absolutely. You can give me a console at $600 that does two things, and one of those primary things is it allows me to play my Xbox games online, or you can give me a console at $600 that does 50 things, including that primary thing that I need, which is play my Xbox games online. What am I going to go with? I'm going to go with the 50 options, because who knows, once I explore these different options, how I can utilize that to my advantage, how I can stop using all these different pieces of architecture in my household for all these various different things and merge them into one. And I think that's brilliant. The Xbox One's really doing a good job of that already.
Yeah, I agree with you. But and there's people out there that want to buy a $600 box and say, I want to do one thing and that's it. And if there's a market for that, then those people will gravitate towards that. It's about having choices. It's not about making a choice and then having to tell everyone else why the choice they made is incorrect. Just make a choice and enjoy it.
Exactly. And on that note, if you make that choice and then you come back and complain about it, please don't tweet me, because I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. So moving along, I think we had a little bit, I don't know if you can call it information. I think we can call it more of a rumor / potential name drop, maybe, for Gears of War. So there was apparently this Brazilian federal website that had a listing in their job section for a classification/rating for Gears of War 2015 called Gears of War Ultimate Edition. Now, obviously, everybody has run away with going, oh my God, we're getting a collection. But I think that that's a bit premature. Like, I've been saying for probably 12 months now that regardless of whether we get a collection or not, I believe that we were going to be getting a Gears of War 1 remastered for the anniversary, which is actually next year. So if it's going to be released this year instead of on the anniversary, then it makes sense that they can't call it Gears of War Remastered Anniversary Edition because it's not the anniversary yet. So I'm thinking Gears of War Ultimate Edition, that might be where they're heading with that. What do you think?
I think it's simple. The word ultimate and the word edition are not the word collection. So, it could be Gears of War 1 and an ultimate edition of Gears of War 1, including, all the marketing, all the ads on television, all that stuff behind the scenes, how they made the game, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Could it be a collection? It could. I lean more towards, if it's going to be a collection, they would call it a collection.
Yeah.
I'm not one of these people that, jumps on social media and guesses something and hopes that I'm right. And if I am right, then I become a quote unquote insider. I like to know what I'm talking about before I know what I'm talking about. So the word ultimate and the word edition is not the word collection.
Yeah, I mean, God, everybody fingers crossed, it may very well be a part of a collection, but...
And after the Master Chief collection, I don't think if it is a collection, they're going to release it all together. I think they want to get that multiplayer contingent working really well on Gears 1, which is going to be huge, by the way. I mean, people are going to buy that in droves and play it.
Oh, it's just like everywhere. Even Call of Duty is just going to be a ghost town for weeks.
I don't know about Call of Duty's nonstop. I mean, people complain about Call of Duty. People have been complaining about Call of Duty since I've been playing games. Not another Call of Duty. I hate Call of Duty. And every year, every system that's out, it sells the most on.
I know, right? Like, it's so funny. Like, a few of my friends, I watched them every year for like 6 months leading up to a release of Call of Duty. Like, nope, I'm not buying it. Copy and paste. It looks like shit. And I'm like, hey, dude, is that you? Like, day one on the new Call of Duty?
It's unstoppable. I mean, it sells like crack. It's crazy.
It's amazing. I mean, I love it. I'm a sucker for it. People who, like, literally refuses to either get upset or get overly excited about these 1.5, 2 minute trailers that we get every couple of months leading up to the release, because regardless of what we see in the trailers, all this information that we get, every couple of weeks they'll give us another leak about the campaign, another leak about the multiplayer. You can picture in your mind what you think it's going to be like from all these little tad bits of information. It's nothing like the experience that you get when you log on and actually play it. So I always reserve my final judgment for when I jump on and play it. But look, even Call of Duty Ghosts, right? Like, that ended up being a pretty much a big flop in most people's eyes. For me, when I first started playing it, though, I thought it was awesome. It was fantastic. But then the servers got flooded, and then I played the maps a little bit too much, and in like 2 or 3 weeks, I'm like, and you know what? They did this. This is actually a bit of a hit and miss.
Yeah. It's interesting you say Call of Duty Ghost was a flop, right? What were the numbers of Call of Duty Ghost?
Oh, look, off the top of my head, I couldn't say it, but far as sales went, they had massive sales, and it's because they marketed it amazingly well. Hell, they even had Eminem up on the stage singing, like, so great, and I was really excited for it. And when I started playing it, I really enjoyed it. But then, unlike previous Call of Duties that keep you engaged, that keep you interested, it dropped off real quick for me. And then the frustration of what was wrong with the game kicked in. The lack of continued support for fixing the bugs and the continual glitches and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, it just ended up being a fail for me. But hey, I was there in November that year going, hey, you got a new one? Yeah, I'll take 2.
Yeah, it's definitely not in decline. I love the it's in decline argument. That game X is in decline because the previous game sold 10 million units and this game only sold 9 million units. Well, I'm sure they're happy. Most games don't come out and sell 9 million units right away. So the term decline is used. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah, that's another thing that we can relate back to my Twitter for anybody who is going to complain about Black Ops 3 with the whole 30 seconds of knowledge you have about it. Please stop tweeting me how you think it's going to be shit, because you have no idea. I have no idea. Could we all just wait till the game comes out?
What do you think about
just wait till the game comes out.
What do you think about their push for everything future?
Well, see, this is the thing. I have this feeling that, all right, we've gone into Advanced Warfare now where everything kind of feels like it's been fast-forwarded. We've got all these additional movements into it. We're running faster. We're jumping. We're strafing left to right. It's a lot faster and a lot more interactive. Companies like Treyarch are well known for taking on the community feedback, and they know that people are really, really keen to get back to what the core mechanics of Call of Duty are. So I think that whilst there's going to be this, quite clearly, this futuristic element to it with, bionic arms and eyeballs that can see 10 times better than everything else and all that kind of crap, there will be that in it. But I think that it'll be sort of taking a little bit of a step back as far as the speed of the game goes. Not enough that it's noticeable, but enough that all those people that Advanced Warfare kind of lost because they're used to the way that the game works and this was just too far out of their reach for them, they will now be able to re-engage in the game again.
I don't mean as far as the mechanics go. I mean actual settings. Do you think that all these futuristic settings, would you like to see something like World at War again or a different era for Call of Duty?
Look, not only do I think that, not only do I want to see that, but I do think that it will happen, and that's because there's only so far in the future they can continue to take
I know,
it.
right? We're going to be using ray guns and
yeah.
Call of Duty Star Trek.
Yeah, like pretty much. So like at some point it is going to have to go back again. So I think that that's where like pretty much, if this is just a ridiculous dream, but you almost envision Treyarch, Infinity Ward and Sledgehammer all sitting around a table going, right, we're running out of ideas. We're going to have to work together on this one. How are we going to bring it back?
I think they should go way back, like Call of Duty Cavemen. You can just throw rocks at each other, stuff like that. That would be cool, wouldn't it? Throw rocks and like a perk is like you invent fire.
Drag it back to the cave.
Yeah. You invent fire, get to burn somebody.
Oh god. So good. So good. Pterodactyls as your score streak.
Awesome. Good idea.
Oh dear. Okay, so let's move on because if you let me go on about Call of Duty, we'll be here all night. So how do you feel about the way that The Witcher 3 has been marketed on the Xbox One?
Oh, it's fantastic. Are you kidding me? I mean, whatever they spent, they should have doubled.
Am I tasting sarcasm?
Yeah. Now, you know what? I've been really critical, but at the end of the day, I was talking to somebody on Twitter and they said that, the average people don't know what we know. So when they're watching Conan O'Brien on late night, he's a talk show guy here in the States, play The Witcher, and he's holding up the Xbox One box. Everybody looks at the game. They say, oh, it's on the Xbox One. If they have an Xbox One, they go out and they buy the game. They're not really going to stop and say, hey, wait a minute, the footage I saw on Conan O'Brien late night kind of doesn't look like the footage I'm playing right now on the Xbox One, because the differences, I know people go crazy when they hear this, but the differences aren't that noticeable to regular people, the average consumer. So most of the time, they show this stuff on PC. Sony did it with Batman. They showed the PC version, but it was PlayStation.
Yeah.
So you assume it's going to look like that. The game's going to look good on every console. We already know that it's going to be 900p on the Xbox One, and it's going to be 1080p on the PlayStation 4. It's going to be 30 frames per second. Why we already know that, I don't know. I really wish I didn't know that. I'd like to just see a game and have them talk about it. Like, for instance, if you show me a video of The Witcher, anybody, right? The game looks phenomenal. It looks fantastic. I don't know at what point somebody said, this looks great, but can you please tell me the technical side behind the game? And I want the developer to tell me exactly what he did, and did he squeeze every drop of power out of my box that I have at home? Just buy the game. Just buy the game. The game's great.
Yeah.
It's the first really big next-gen game. It feels like the first big next-gen game so far in terms of pushing the consoles. So I'm excited.
Wouldn't it be nice?
The marketing was bad.
Yeah, I agree. Ever since I started talking to you about, in our podcast about The Witcher and such, I've been looking into it a little bit because your enthusiasm for the game's actually got me enthusiastic for the game. So I've been looking into it a bit, and I don't know whether I've been able to tell the difference between anything that I've seen on the Xbox, PC, or PlayStation as far as that goes. Like,
well, obviously the PC footage is, yeah, obviously the PC is going to be phenomenal. I mean, they could just do everything on that platform. But the two platforms, I mean, look, I know there's a difference. People, they don't want to hear, oh, there's no difference. You're only saying that because you're an Xbox or you're a PlayStation guy, whatever. People don't notice these differences. Regular people. I mean, regular people aren't on Twitter 24 hours a day calling out resolution and frame rate. They're just buying games. So,
yeah.
Is it a big deal that they use PC footage? It kind of. I mean, what do you think? Do you think that if they're holding up an Xbox box or a PlayStation box, and they should be showing you footage on that actual console?
Well, to finish, before I answer that, to finish off what I was saying, is the reason that I don't see difference between whether I'm watching The Witcher 3 footage on the PlayStation or the PC or whatever, is I'm not watching it to look at how amazing the graphics are. I'm looking at it to get more of a sense of the storyline, to get a sense of characters, I'm excited for the game, not for the graphic. But moving on to the question you just asked then was, I tell you what, if somebody holds up a Xbox in front of me and then says, hey, let's play this game on the Xbox, and then it turns out that it's on the PC, I'd be like, dude, why didn't you just say, like, let's play it on the PC? Why make me think we're playing it on the Xbox? I don't care either way. Let's just play the goddamn game, but why all the charades? Why all the smoke and mirrors?
Do you think maybe a developer? You think maybe a developer who's demoing a game live somewhere wants to show it in its best possible light, and that's always going to be the PC?
And anybody who is naive enough to not acknowledge that on PC they're going to be able to maximize things much, much further past the console is being quite naive. So yeah, if you want to show it to us in its most beautiful product version, then do so on the PC. Tell us you're doing it on the PC. That's not a problem. Yeah. Just tell us that that's what you're doing. There's no need for all these smoke and mirrors.
Well, there was footage released. I don't know when it was released, but I saw it today. Somebody in another country uploaded some footage onto their YouTube channel, and they actually put in the description that it was captured in 720p because that's the highest their DVR could go. But it would look better on your screen, obviously, because it's a little bit higher in resolution. And what I saw, it looked really good. So I don't get this, at the time, I was really critical because of not the game being a lower resolution, just that if you're going to get me excited about, we have this exclusive marketing deal for The Witcher, I expected to see all these different kinds of gameplay. I expected to see, them highlight different characters up until the launch with like commercials or something like that. I expected to see some exclusive content other than like a deck of cards and a cloth. And they have this really, really cool looking Witcher console. It's a custom console, but you can only win it if you use Bing search engine. I mean, and nobody knows about it. What kind of deal is that? I just didn't get that.
Yeah, that's peculiar.
Yeah, but hey, we're 1 week away from the game, so once it comes out, I'm sure everybody will just play it and be quiet.
Yeah, and look, what are you anticipating most out of this game?
You know what I played the second one. I don't know if you've played it. They released it on the 360. It was obviously originally a PC game. It's just the scale of the game. If you ever played an Elder Scrolls game, like Oblivion or Skyrim, in The Witcher, you can just hop on your horse, go off the main road, get off the horse, walk, and you can do something for 100 hours that has nothing to do with the main story. They've actually come out and said that, going from one point to another takes 40 minutes on horseback in real time. I mean, that's how big the game is.
That's
so
awesome.
It's just all the experiences that you can have that are ancillary to the single player experience, that the story. You can just go off and do anything. That's what I really love about the game. It's a whole world, basically. I want to go into another world. I want to escape the world I'm in because I can't stand it. I want to go into the world of The Witcher and just be a Witcher.
Duly noted. So don't tweet WorrryWart for at least a month after.
Yeah, I'm going to be gone. I need to take a break anyway, man. Twitter and social media is just not good.
We're actually going to wrap up on that, so let's save that.
Okay.
So moving on to the second last thing. This is something that I expected would have made gamers really, really happy. And I was shocked and literally appalled at some of the reactions that I saw when this was announced that 60 FPS was being introduced to the Xbox One DVR. I was like, finally, all these people that think that 1080p 60 FPS is the holy grail of gaming and nothing below that is even slightly acceptable will be stoked. You know what the biggest complaint that they had was? Oh, we're just getting this now? What, you're giving it to me now? Like, are you serious? Like, people, you've been asking for it. You're getting it. This is what you want. But instead of going, oh, you know what? MS, thanks so much, man. That's awesome. Thank you. No, none of that. So we're getting this now? Oh, so
I don't know if you've ever heard this expression, the squeaky wheel gets the oil. The more noise you make, the more attention that you get, and that's what social media is all. That's what social media is all about. So, people want to complain. They want to propagate this division and these differences that always existed before. No one cared about. These things like, again, the differences in games, the differences in consoles, they've always existed. Every generation, I've owned every console. There's always been a console that's been a little bit more powerful than another console. There's always been that console that didn't care about graphics but cared about, gameplay and fun. It's usually a Nintendo console, but there's always differences, and they've always been there, and they've never been this big of an issue until this generation. And I'd like to think it's because of the prevalence of social media tied with this generation of consoles. I hope that's what it is, because I don't want it to continue.
No, me either. Like, enough is enough, people. I'm sick of waking up every single morning and having to block people on social media because all you're doing is spreading hate. You're taking something that should be a happy moment that you should be pleased about. Like, yes, excellent. I can now record on my DVR 60 FPS. That's a great thing. Happy for it. Why take that and turn it and twist it into, well, this should have been available on day one and you're not doing good enough, and step it up, Microsoft? No.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? It's okay to be critical. I think it's important, if you're a real fan, it's important to be critical. But there's a line. There's being critical because you want to point out something that should be better. And I think, like, the guys at Microsoft, like Phil Spencer and Larry Herb, they interact a lot with people on social media, and they do take a lot of the complaints seriously, try and change things for the better. So I think it is important to be critical, but I do think that there's a large, I don't even want to say large, just vocal group that's constantly negative. And it's both ways. It's the Xbox, it's the PlayStation. It's just so loud and in your face. And I tried something today, which is really funny. We're talking about this. I was talking about Tomb Raider. I saw an article about it, and I love Tomb Raider from way back in the day.
Yeah.
And the reboot was phenomenal. I had no faith in the reboot of Tomb Raider at all, and I was blown away by it when it came out. I was so happy that they were able to reboot that franchise, and Lara Croft was back. And I said, I'm really excited for the new Tomb Raider. And I actually put in parentheses in my tweet, this is not an invitation for you to tell me what you hope happens. It is just me being excited. And again, that's a reference to, oh, it's definitely coming to the PlayStation. It's just timed. I didn't want to hear any of that. I just wanted to talk about being excited. And of course, what do you think the first response was to that tweet?
Oh, could it be, it's going to be coming to the PlayStation 4?
Yeah. And I mean, so even when you acknowledge this, like, I could acknowledge to people, listen, the PlayStation 4 is more powerful. That's not enough. There's still the argument. Like, it's like, what can you do to stop it? If I just acknowledge everything that you're saying is true, it's almost like you want to just argue for arguing's sake. And that's what social media is now. It's about, the squeakiest wheel gets the oil. And the louder you are, the more attention you get.
Yeah. Well,
it's depressing, isn't it? Isn't it depressing?
It really is, because I'm completely over it. I want people to be excited for gaming again. I mean, wouldn't it be nice if we could just go back to the times where we had a trailer, maybe even two trailers, one gameplay, one CGI, a storyline provided to us, and that is what used to get us excited enough to go out and buy a game.
You know what, Bella? If you notice, I don't know, I notice this a lot, and I know Nintendo isn't something people like to count as competition this generation. A lot of people don't like to count them as, their games are too kiddie. But they just had an event yesterday where they demoed Splatoon. It's a game coming out for the Wii U. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Yeah, right. It looks so good.
But they had a Splatoon Direct. They do Nintendo Direct, and you can go to the Nintendo website and watch a live show geared towards the fans. It's sort of like what they did when they stopped doing E3. They did a Splatoon Direct, and all they showed was actual footage of the game being played. They highlighted the gameplay, the art, they highlighted the characters, the things that you can do, and every single person in there, it was joyful. It was people saying, look how much fun this is. Look at the character animation. Look at the colors. Oh, I'm going to have so much fun doing this, so much fun doing that. And then, I felt great for a half an hour. And then as soon as I left that and went back to Twitter, it's like, here we are, back in the crap,
Yeah, back in the slums of social media,
Yeah,
as
so
it would be some days.
I give Nintendo a lot of credit. I know a lot of people don't, and a lot of people think that they should release a console that does exactly what the PlayStation 4 does and the Xbox One does, and has the same power or more. But, you have to appreciate the fact that they still know that games are about fun, and that's what they market them as. They don't market them as these technical showpieces. They market them as things that you're going to buy and have fun with. And I wish that PlayStation and Xbox did more of that.
Wouldn't it be lovely?
We're going to be really old. I remember when people used to yell at each other on Twitter. Now they use these gadgets on their head, virtual reality, and scream at each other.
Oh, like by that time we'll be getting subliminal messages from somebody on the other side of the globe calling us campers.
Are you excited for virtual reality at all?
Oh,
something on your head?
Yeah. Look, it's, to a degree. I don't want it to be something that becomes so prevalent that everything I have to do online basically is that driven, because obviously if you give people a option where there's two standards, it's like, let's use an example from Call of Duty, which is a great one. So with Call of Duty Advanced Warfare right now, you have the ability to play classic mode, which is no exoskeletons, or normal mode, which is exoskeletons. So the next step up, additional technology, the slightly better option if you want to just like max everything out. So I don't want it to get to the point where I have the option to play the games how I want to play them, or everybody's, maxing everything out and using virtual reality with this shit on their head all the time. I don't want it to be that way, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to have to plug in every time. I don't want to completely lose myself from reality in that regard.
I don't think it's going to become that prevalent. I'm not saying I wish it doomed.
I don't know.
I'm going to buy it, and I'm going to try it because I try everything like that. But I'm
going to wait for you to buy it. I'm going to wait for you to try it, and then I'm going to wait for you to tell me what you think.
I just don't think it's going to be, they're billing it as, again, this is the next thing, and every game is going to be virtual reality. It's kind of like the whole 3D thing. Remember 3D, and that's the future of gaming, and everyone was telling me, oh, it's the future, every game. It's not. It's something that's, a limited market's going to use. And again, these devices, I'm sorry, the HoloLens, not Morpheus. Morpheus is geared more towards, playing games. I think HoloLens is geared towards industry, towards business, towards education, the medical field. I don't know if they're going to get that down to a mass market price quickly. And there was an article yesterday that talked about how it's going to cost more than the console. So how many people are going to go out and spend $600 to $1,000 on what is essentially an add-on for your Xbox One? I don't know.
Yeah. For me, it'll depend on what other areas they take that technology into. Like, we were having a conversation about deep sea diving at one point, and I was having this conversation with Abby Happy as well about, using this kind of technology for, safaris and going down into deep, dark chasms and stuff like that. Like, if that technology was available places that I couldn't go.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That people who are trained, that are athletes or have the right requirements and the right equipment can go, could take me there with that technology, that would be a seller right there, even if it didn't have anything to do with games. Because there's so much on this globe that none of us have any idea of. We just float along the surface of the crust and we have no idea what's under us or above us. And if that kind of technology gave me the ability to be able to see that, that would be a big sale for me.
Yeah, it's got to be that price has to be right, though. I don't think it can be more than a console.
Could you justify $6,000 to see more, understand more about the world that you spending literally your entire life on?
Oh, I
could justify that.
I could, but I'm talking about the gamer market. You know what I mean? Just that segment. Just that segment. Like, I know that they said Minecraft is going to have a tie-in with HoloLens somehow. Is that enough?
HoloLens and Lego. Awesome.
Yeah. I mean, isn't it crazy that instead of going out instead of going out and buying Legos, you're just going to be like moving your hands with imaginary Legos. Like, what happened?
Oh my god, that's so good. Oh,
yeah, we sound old, don't we? I remember when I used to play with actual Legos.
Well, you know, it does beat looking after your kids.
That's true, and nobody wants to do that.
Apparently not. No offense to the good parents out there. I'm sure you're doing a bang-up job. For those who aren't, don't get them HoloLens and Minecraft. Get them some real Lego. Like a box, an actual box of real Lego.
What would be a price you would buy it for your Xbox One? What do you think would be an acceptable price?
Okay, so I think given the technology that's going into it, for it coming into the market to begin with, I would accept. It's a hard one because I don't know the industry well enough to.
But see, now you're not buying it. But you're not buying it for exploration to another place. You're buying it because you're a gamer. What would be a price for the gamer that would buy it? And would it be a price Microsoft could get that unit down to, just for that one particular market?
I think that they could probably, given the fact that it's thousands of dollars worth of technology as it is, they could probably, if they manage to somehow get 5 years life expectancy by compromising on materials, probably push it out for $1,000.
I don't know how many people would actually spend that just.
I think a lot of people would. I mean, it's ridiculous. How many people lined up day one with $700 in their hand for an Xbox One?
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, you're getting a lot more than. I don't know. I could be completely wrong. I mean, you know, I'm sure if I walked into a store and put like the headset on my head and saw a person standing in front of me that I can interact with, I would buy it right then and there. You know?
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? It's the availability of you being able to go in and see and experience it for yourself. Like 3D TV is a perfect example for me. When 3D TV came out, I was just like, oh, this is like, what's the big deal? Because for me, I envisioned sitting in a movie theater with like, you know, there's like white cardboard glasses and one plastic screen was blue and one plastic screen was red.
Oh, that's the 80s.
Big deal. What's the big deal? But I actually I was in a mall once and they had like this big booth in the middle where they were promoting this new, I think it was like a Panasonic 3D TV. You could actually walk in, sit down, put these glasses on and watch it. And I was like mesmerized, absolutely mesmerized. I could not believe what I was seeing. It was just fanatic. I can't even explain it. Like, it was just looking back on that experience now at how little I knew about what it was, thinking, oh, it's just this, it's just that, and seeing what it actually was back then, mind blowing. And within, I think it was like 3 months after that, I owned a 3D TV.
Yeah, but you know what's interesting though? Even though you had that amazing experience, 3D still isn't. You know, I mean, it's not the big thing. People aren't really needing it.
Well, today it's not, but you know, 5 years ago it was huge.
But don't you think they wanted it to be standard?
Yeah,
you know
well, most TVs you buy these days come out with a 3D capability in them.
Yeah, I just don't see the adoption that I thought I would see in 3D, and I'm likening that to this new push for AR/VR with games.
Yeah.
Now, I could be wrong. I saw a couple demos. Did you see the demos of the Project Morpheus where the guy was in a shark cage underwater?
Oh, yes, so good.
How amazing. I mean, something like that.
So good. Yeah. Wouldn't that be amazing? Like, just,
Yeah.
To
Stuff like
literally
that.
feel like you're there. It would be horrifying and exhilarating and
yeah, if they're gonna show HoloLens and Morpheus at E3, they have to sell it. They really have to have something that says that's it. That's a new experience. You know what I mean?
Yeah, game changer right there. That's the feeling you need to walk away with. But yeah, they need to make it sort of more readily available across the globe, I guess, of anywhere that has access to Xbox, so that you can go in and sit down in a mall and experience, even just for 30 seconds, what this technology is, what it's going to mean to you, and how it's going to change your online gaming experience. Because that is how they're going to get that technology into homes.
I like how you said online gaming experience. See, I'm looking at it from a single player experience. You know, me
but you're a
in another
guy,
environment.
So you have to be online at some point to download it. So there's an online component.
Oh yeah. See, when I hear online, I think multiplayer.
I don't sort of encompass anything that you need to do online. If I was referring to multiplayer, it would just be multiplayer.
My bad.
So I have one last question for you.
Yeah.
What are you anticipating most from E3? Because we're down to 35 days?
Yeah. You know, I I hope that I get that excited feeling again. You know, it's more. I'm thinking E3 is going to be more about games this year than actually, for me anyway. I know it's going to be about competition for a lot of people, but
Yeah.
I'm hoping it's more about surprises and stuff that I wasn't expecting, and just excitement. I'm excited to see new games on the Xbox One. You know, they're hyping up a lot of first-party IP, so I'm excited to see what they come up with. I'm excited. You know, there's a lot of people, counting Sony out, but I know that they're going to have something that we don't know about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They have to. I'm sure they know that, it's time to put something out there. So I know I'll see like maybe a Gran Turismo again, or even something from the past that they bring back. I'm just excited to see games, and hopefully there's one or two people out there that feel that way.
Yeah, agreed.
And I really, really, really want to know every new game I see. I have to know what the resolution is, or else I'm shutting the television.
Oh, you sarcastic bitch.
It's very important to me. It is. It's very important.
Yeah.
And if DirectX 12 does not solve this 1080p problem, then I'm completely done.
Well, isn't it meant to double the power of your Xbox or something?
Oh, so you heard double? See, I heard quadruple.
Quadruple. It's quadruple now. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Good old case of Chinese whispers, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, look, on that note, thank you so much for joining me today. Unless you've got something else that you wanted to raise, I think we're going to wrap it up.
I'm good.
All right. Well, thanks, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the podcast. And please leave any questions below. No hate, because you will get blocked. Good night.